detail. The reason why I pulled this one out is because it also lists an ADAP meeting. And it also lists Cook Bay, G. Cook Bay, paying $5 for his ministry papers. I know some of y'all like to see that. Also, this report shows, I don't have enough liquid in my eyes, so I have to open it. Noble Durali's expenses, $100.
Wow.
Also lists Noble Durali for his car expenses, $118.
Wow.
Thompson Bay, he got his minister papers for $5. Francis Bay from Brooklyn, New York. Where's he go? Francis Bay. We was talking about that. Well, that's who was moving around in New York. Many of us don't know, but the prophet went to New York. Does anybody raise your hand if you know that? Islam. He went to New York. Brother, there was 69 cents for transportation for the secretaries. There was telegrams, $1.20. Salaries, $49. Rent for $31.40, $10. Rent for $36.03, $5. It's a very detailed report of the finances, which is why he required every temple to give account of all finances, because he was very, very detailed. Now, this next page talks about the Cashbook finances. The reason why I pull this out again is because you got some person, February 16, 1929, who paid money named M. Green Bay. Not Claude Green Bay, but M as in Mary, Green Bay. Now we have to research that. We don't know if that's the judge. We do know this, that a lot of Greens were very prosperous in the Bronzeville area. You had Green Bay, who was the butler for Rosenwald, and a businessman. You had his relative, Dr. Green, who my mother went to. Asiatics went to these Greens. Then you had Green, who was a judge, became a circuit judge. So they were all from this, they were very successful education-wise in that Green clan. The M. Green Bay, I just pulled this out this morning. I've got to research to see who this is, M. Green Bay. This is February 16, 1929. Okay. Now there's some stuff in here. Okay, here. Another reason why I pulled this out. Before the prophet passed, Mary Drew Ali was getting money, and then after he passed. So here's a record of February 1929 when Mary Drew Ali received $1. And in March 1st, 1929, there is a brother who gave $36, and I don't know if this is his name or his title, but he's written down as Chief Glover Hill.
When you donate $36 in 1929, you deserve that title, Chief.
That shows us some type of Native American.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think so. So here, the next month, Mary Drew Ali received $10 the next month. And here, everybody heard, let's talk about Dawson Bay, who was the prophet's attorney, who was also a very prolific politician in Chicago, who was instrumental in the Democratic machine. He really orchestrated that machine. He was instrumental in electing Mayor Daley, the first mayor, in 1950-something, by galvanizing all of the Asiatics and telling the powers that be to tear down all those shanty houses and build the jets, as they call it, the high-rise. That way you got the votes. And what he wanted in return is to control all of the jobs at the public school and the post office, and he got it. Dawson Bay was also an attorney. And here, it shows that the prophet gave him some money. He's listed as Attorney Dawson, $21.53. He was one. This substantiates that he was indeed the temple's lawyer. Now, he also joined the temple. He never used his name. He was one of those professional men who never used his title. And the prophet used to talk about those Moors who did not use their title. And those who wanted to go or were selected to go through the ADAP chamber, they paid on the ADAP fee, Sister Pat, like the old Moors told you, remember? This brother or this sister, H. Reed, paid $5 on her ADAP fee. And here listed is also M. Jackson Bay. Jackson Bays are the same Jacksons who owned the funeral, Jackson Funeral Home, in which they were in bed with Mushmouth as competition. Mushmouth is Johnson. They had it set up where one person had the funeral home, the other person had the insurance company. So they would insure, both of them did business back and forth. They would insure them and bury and build an empire. In case you don't remember who Mushmouth Johnson was, he was premier of what you call Chicago gangsters. His mother was one of the attending nurses for Abraham Lincoln when he was shot. We talking about the middle to late 1800s. That's how long he was doing business. In fact, he opened up a gambling house after working for someone as a cook called Emporium. And if you go downtown, his place was on 8th and State. Right now, 8th and State is prime real estate. And he had a Moor from Cuba to help him. Gambling was legal. He was called Mushmouth because what?
Like the cups.
Yeah. Every word was profanity. Every other word. But he was a hard nose. Not only did he run gambling, he ran prostitution too. Not only did he have that, he had officials on the tape. He paid them. In fact, if you recall, the Chinese during that time smoked a lot of opium, and they had opium dens, and they knew they weren't supposed to do that. So most of your police in that area on Cermak were Irish. And they would go in there when they needed some extra money and do what? Shake them down. Squash them. Squash them. Well, they got tired of it. So who did they go to for help? Mushmouth Johnson. He said, don't worry about it. Because Mushmouth Johnson comped all the judges, all the top politicians for the type of woman that they want, and comped them when they lost their money in gambling at his place. And it stopped. He had that kind of power. He also basically invented policy numbers. He was the main source of policy. And two people, a woman and a man from West Indies, they sent to New York. But the New York got their training on policy from Chicago, which later rolled down to the Jones Bay brothers. We all know about them. How Sam Giancano, the Sicilian gangster, came to Chicago and saw the wealth that these Moors had created. Because they had so much money, they bought homes in Cuba and Mexico. And when he came into their house, which was somewhere on King Drive South, He said he saw all the French-made furniture. He said, I didn't know that Niggers lived like this. That's what he said. Okay. That's that. Let's get to some real hard meat here. There's some stuff in here. Hard meat. In our Holy Quran, it lists Sultan Ibn Abdul Aziz, right?
Wow.
So in 1945, the Pittsburgh newspaper, May 5th, for some reason took a shot of 4 of his top sons. So the newspaper was tearing up, and I managed to get it under the screen just to get this copy to show to you all. Pass that around. And if you need a copy of that, you can take it. What you rubbing over there? The cufflink? You got one more day to put my suit on. This is from Millie Hill. This is 1931. This is October 14, 1931. And Sister Holmes Bay. Anybody heard of Sister Holmes Bay? She's from Baltimore. She's Baltimore. She's from 812 West Dallas Street. Yeah. Is Dallas Street still there?
Yeah.
Where's Matthews Bay? It's still there?
Yeah.
Okay. It's I'm sorry, Brother Holmes Bay. It's him and his wife. But this is Brother A. Holmes Bay, 812 North Dallas Street, Baltimore, Maryland. My dear Brother Holmes Bay, your letter of Saturday found all well, and I felt a feeling of relief when I read where you refused to believe that what this deceiver had to say. And while I am on this subject, let me say to you, if you want to seal your own doom, listen to anyone before you listen to the Holy Prophet. Bill Hill was right to the point. And whatever you do, don't let the enemy speak in your temple at any time. Don't let him even visit your homes. For they can go from house to house and do you or your people a lot of harm. Just with that house-to-house talk.
That's right.
Idle conversation.
The prophet's general laws read, anyone that speaks against your prophet or his divine and national movement were your enemy.
Right.
And he so often said that. These people that come to tell you this or that must produce credentials. Otherwise, they are no good. And we're only seeking to destroy your belief you had in your prophet. So don't even stop to talk to not one of them. If they speak, our prophet Noble Drew, don't hear to him at all. If they speak, our prophet Noble Drew, don't hear to him at all. If you do what you will find, if you will do that, you will find out you will be all right. And also, if any more of them come to you saying they know me, tell them to show their credentials. And if he fails, you know he is no good. Peace, Brother Emil Hill, Supreme Grand Chief. You want to talk about this? He cut right to the bone.
Who was betrayed us?
It doesn't say, but apparently A. Holmes Bay had been telling him what other people said. in Baltimore.
But that is not what other people said in Baltimore.
Negative stuff. Or that Millie Hill wasn't the Grand Sheik, or he had no power.
Right.
And they were doing that during this time, you know, because they wanted to take charge of the situation.
Right.
That was Cook Bay.
Cook Bay. Well, we got some stuff about him in here. Yeah.
So here's the question. They talked about credentials, and what could they show in reference to credentials?
Credentials would be your divine ministry papers. The prophet always referred to credentials as your divine ministry papers. And your divine ministry papers got to be reissued every convention. If you look at Governor Gates Bay's divine ministry papers, on the back of them, they're reissued every convention. He's got a lot of signatures from whoever holds his office. So credentials was what you were known by in an organization like now, which is your divine ministry papers. Islam? Now this is from Brother Email again. This is in 1933, July 8th. And he's writing Brother Harold Bay, 2208 McCullough Street, Baltimore, Maryland. See, I knew we had something for the Baltimoreans. Is that street still there?
Yeah.
Huh? Islam, Brother J.H.H.A.R.R.A.L. Bay. I was very glad to hear of your whereabouts and what you were doing. Well, my dear brother, as to what you have heard, you haven't heard half of what is being said. But I regard them as bubbles from a soap gun. They soon bust and go to pieces. I still hold all honors the prophet left me with. I have the law of authority. In fact, I have all I need to keep in the circle, in the presence of the Holy Father. So in looking to find me, always look within the circle. I admire your spirit. Keep the faith. Peace in Islam. Brother Email here. He was to the point. Lay that out here.
One time,
Same
one
way.
trying to release
Same way.
peace, and let people know that it's on.
Right.
Either this way or that way.
Because the talk was going around, the conspiracy to say that Millie Hill was not the Supreme Grand Sheik and Chairman. In fact, his office had been obliterated and replaced with what? Supreme Grand Advisor and Moderator. Or reincarnated prophet. We're really not in 33, not in 32, but later on, you're right. And the word was, and they were talking. Don't do nothing he says. So apparently, this brother from Baltimore asked him, is it true? Now, mind you, during those years from 29, say from 29 all the way to about 33, 34, Temple 19 in Baltimore was one of the main centers of unnecessary gossip about Millie Hill. Yes. Yes. Here's another Baltimorean who put a lot of Baltimore stuff. This is January 13, 1934. So by then, Kirkman Bay had thought he had seized control, and in May later on this year, May 7, 1934. No. In the same year, 1934, Millie Hill did what? He passed. He passed. So the road is open. So those are kind of things that were going on. This is to Brother Charles Bull Bay, 555 Offord Street, Does that still exist? OFFORD.
Well, that was,
Yeah, South Liberty Road.
that's off of Liberty Road, Baltimore County. That's Baltimore
Is
County.
it still existing?
Yes.
What's it like over there?
What is it, 7-Eleven right on that corner? and then
It's been regentrified?
Yes, it's been redone.
Dear brother, all is well. You ever say something? Dear brother, all is well, dear brother. You heard anything, you heard many things, and some things you heard are true. And that is, you heard that Drew Ali left you responsible for yourself. No one is responsible for you being here but yourself and your God Allah. But it's shameful to see how clever the evil spirits fool the people who call themselves smart people. There's Brother Anderson. I thought at one time that Brother Gravitt Hill and Brother Anderson and the Smith brother, I figured those men above ridicule are common things. But the worst hypocrite in Chicago has them tricked to death. And it's the handiwork of our God Allah who takes the most common food and baffles the one who thought they were wise. I tell you, there's nothing to the jump. I tell you how I know. When the prophet was here, he said, this is quotations, you didn't know when I came this time, did you? And you won't know when I return either. Unquote. So believe a word of it for me as leader. Drew Ali is your leader. Any comments, questions on that?
We went to the point, you know.
Right
One
to the
thing about him, he never put himself out there. He always put the prophet out.
He sure did.
You never heard him refer to himself at any time.
He sure did.
He didn't play around. He didn't play around with trying to hobnob with different groups. He said, this is the way it's going to be. Anybody go anywhere else, they dead wrong.
That's right.
Dead wrong.
Oh, just hold on a minute. Okay. Well, ask Roger Bay to come up here and help me read this.
Let me see it after you.
That's from Cook Bay.
That's Cook Bay or G Cook Bay? C Cook Bay.
G. Cook Bay.
As I couldn't.
I
and G.
I didn't do that much right. He did all right.
This is, looks like say 322 West Lee Street,
Yeah, that's
Chapter
Chapter
number
13.
13. Goldsboro, Maryland.
Right on
It's
Shop
still there in Lee Street?
No, Lee Street, Shop Street, right across from each other.
Southball.
Right down by the, house.
By the harbor?
Yeah.
Okay.
July 15th, 1929. Drew Ali, Islam. I know thou art the causeless cause, rootless root. I received your letter, also the medicine. Was very glad to hear from you. We are going right on over the hill. The few faithful Moors as happy as they can be. This is some money I am mailing on the powerful charter for the insurance. Sister E. Brown Bay Sheikahs paid $2.50. This makes her have paid a total of $5. Sister R. Smith Bay Sheikahs paid $3. Brother J.H. Graham Bay Sheik paid $3. Sister S. Coates Bay Sheikahs paid $3. Also, Brother R. E. German Bay Sheik deposited on uplifting funds $3. Love to all the Moors. Peace. A grand total of $14.50, Brother G. Cook Bay.
Now, who was he writing to?
Prophet.
No.
Prophet know what year was it? Prophet know
This
what year
was July 15th, 1929.
Right, prophet know what year it was.
He was writing the prophet. Yes.
Right, prophet.
He was writing the prophet Noble Drew Ali. What this is a lot of meat in here.
Yeah, it is.
Who said that?
I did.
Okay. You hear me?
Yeah.
One, Jermaine Baby, we do know, was a sheik in 1929.
Right.
Irregardless of what somebody say that he was never a sheik
Right.
or he wasn't a sheik under the Prophet. Not true. He was definitely a sheik under the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. He was. Also, what else?
Oh, my grandfather's brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grand Bay. The Grand Bay. Also, what else?
5 days before the prophet changed form.
Yep. What else?
Medicine.
Let me read it here.
For the insurance part, yeah, it was paying for it. It was paying for the charge.
Yeah, the shop.
Yeah, it was paying for the
I received your letter also. The medicine was very glad to hear from you. We are doing right going right over the hill. And he mentions some money I am mailing on the powerful charter. The powerful charter he addresses.
They had a charge
Now-
that was issued from the prophet.
That's right. It validated the temple. I seen a brother last week. He says, "Oh, we at Temple 10 over here on 59th Street." I said, "That's not Temple 10." I said, "Where you get your charter from?" "From Allah." I said, "No, no. Allah don't have." I says, "He don't handle the charters." Well, I said, "You gotta have a succession." But the charter that was issued in 1929 did not read the same thing as the charters we had now. It read what?
Moorish holy temple of the world.
Of the world. It wasn't until after August or September 29, where's the chart at?